I'm sitting here writing out my pandemic report. And today I want to see if I could talk about some things that you might want to consider, if you please. Um, this thing can be a serious detrimental to your health and your life, or it just can be a passing flicker that comes and then it goes in your life. And I think it depends on how serious you take today's lesson or not. Oh. Hello, everybody. The Sirwalterj Jones Show. I'm here. It is the evening or weekend edition. Baby. How y'all is? Come on in. Water's fine. Good to see you, Casey. Blessings to you, girl. Denise James, blessings to you. Good to see you, Linda. Good to see you, Betty and Annette and Rosalind Wesley. Blessings to you, Ruth Chester, and the rest of you who will be coming in here. This is the pandemic report. This is something that I do every Sunday night now. I'm always starting something new, aren't I? And it's something that I just want the people to be informed of what's going on in the world today. Hello to you. You up, huh, Nakia? You usually go to bed around this time. Good to see you, Belinda. I'm checking on y'all every Sunday night. I want to check on y'all to see if y'all okay. Y'all okay? Y'all all right over there, Beatrice? You all right, Cindy? You all right, Eleanor? You all right, Patrick? Elder? Yeah, I just want to know y'all okay. Today I want to talk about wealth transfer and how it is affecting, how it will affect us, those of us who are in tune. I give y'all a little history, all right, blessings to you, Queen, and to see if you are paying attention to what's been going on in generations, or in your life and in your parents' life and your grandparents' life, great grandparents' life, because history repeats itself. Okay, I need you to know history repeats itself. All right, in many ways, in many areas of our lives, history do repeat itself. Okay, I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for asking, Illinois. My kids were here, Walter Jr. and Junior. They were here, and I had a great time enjoying my son and my grandson this weekend as we were burying my grandmother. Well, what a blessing, communion, and fellowship that we had. They're on the road right now on their way back to Atlanta, so please pray for traveling mercy. It's about 10, 11, 12 hours on that road, and so I will be trying not to sleep hard tonight until they get to their destination. Good to see you, Donald. Blessings to you. It's storming there, huh? Lights out. Here we go again, huh? Lord have mercy. All over again, Beatrice, and you've been through that before. I remember last year when that storm came through there and wiped out stuff and was tearing up homes and stuff. So I'm praying for. Let's pray for Beatrice Carter, where she's in Dallas, Texas. All right, you are well. Praise God. Good to see you. And Deborah House, Pastor. All right, wealth transfers are happening. All right, it's happening. Even though we're in the pandemic, I need you to know that the Lord has not forgotten your labor of love. He hasn't forgotten. God's memory is better than an elephant. He just don't forget. Okay. During the silent generation, my grandfather generation, World War II, they came back with ticker tape parades. They were celebrated by many. Good evening to you, Sir James Foster. They began to buy homes, and prosperity was happening at this time. The United States became a superpower after World War II. War is hell, as someone coined. Thank you, Michelle. Prosperity came to America The Rosie the Riveter was working, and we were rationing metal and steel, and making bullets and cannons and military weaponry. Ford plants and automobile plants were converting their instruments over to making war machinery. One came home and they began to build homes, and at that time the dollar was really worth something, and your great grandparents or your grandparents were building a nest egg for their children and their posterity. Your parents were born. They became what's called baby boomers in the 1940s, 50s, and early 60s. Ends around the early 60s. The boomers. What happened was there was a wealth transfer that happened during that time where the silent generation passed down their wealth to the baby boomers, and they began to buy homes, and this is why African Americans became wealthy. This is how they became wealthy, not during for stock trading. African Americans were not really into that, but they did have a understanding of building homes and businesses are the two things that helped African Americans thrive. Even though redlining was going on and we were being oppressed through Jim Crowism in the North and the South, and racial laws and black codes and you name it, we still were thriving in many areas of the country. Many of you didn't know that, but after you're studying it, you realize. Look at Atlanta, Georgia, on Auburn Street, where Martin Luther King's father home was, his youth. Many of the affluent African Americans lived on that strip. They were building their own. Look at Black Wall Street in Tulsa. All right, there were several Black Wall Streets all over the country, including here in Chicago, a little town called Bronzeville, where there were a lot of black shops. It wasn't just barber shops and barbecue shops that we see today. It wasn't just liquor stores. I mean, we had nightclubs and doctors' offices, and we had banks, and we had construction companies, and we had so much going on here in Chicago. All right, and that wealth was transferred over to the baby boomers, and then they began to build and they began to acquire this wealth, hold on to it, and they were working on their jobs until retirement. There was a such thing as working on your job for 35 years and you retired. My grandmother worked for Sears and Roebuck's, Medea, until she retired. All right, with a little severance retirement pay. Okay. And then they began to have children called Generation X. That is my generation. hmm Yes. Blessed to you, Carlton Davis. Yes. 42nd and Calumet, baby. Yes, yes, yes. Come on. That's good. That's good. Thank you for encouraging the topic. We sometimes feel that God has forgotten us. Linda, amen. You are so welcome. We need this. We need this so bad. Queen B, I wore this for you. My family were a great part of it in Tulsa. I did not know that, Karen Bell. Did not know that. So my father began to buy a property in the late 70s, early 80s. We were the second black family to move on Albany Street on the west side of Chicago. It was all white. All right, we lived in the area up the street from what's called Humble Park, where the Germans were. The Germans moved out, and then the Romanians moved in, and then the Romanians moved out, and then the Puerto Ricans moved in, and they're still there today. But then a gentrification is happening over the past few years, where there's now whites and Puerto Ricans there. Of course, the blacks have been there. My family moved there, and my father began to buy up the property, and white flight began to happen, and they began to move to the suburbs. Went to a school right up the street on a street called Sacramento and Kedzie, Morton Upper Grade Center. And I'll never forget, while going to class, my homeroom teacher, it wasn't Mr. Davis, I forgot his name, he would do the morning reports on the radio. There was no internet back then, no cell phones back then. You got your news from the morning report from the radio. All right, WBBM, WGN radio, things like that. And I remember my teacher in the class. He would always come with blue jeans and a regular khaki style shirt. And he says one day, when y'all get older, this neighborhood is going to change. He said, we white people are planning to come to this back into this neighborhood, and we're getting ready to take those homes that y'all moved in. We're getting ready to take them back. All right. Now this is in the middle 1970s. You have to understand, we had just moved there maybe less than 10 years prior to him making that statement. So the whites moved out with the intentions of coming back. All right. They didn't know when they were coming back, but they were going to come back. I don't know if it's because the travel was just too much. They were tired of the suburbs. I don't know. It was prime property, but they were coming back. And in 1975, 76, or somewhere around there, he told me and my whole black class, we're coming back, and you will not recognize this neighborhood when you become an adult, is what he said. And I said, yeah, right. I got older, and I lived on that block for years, and then I saw the first white family move in. I was a little shocked. There's a white family moving in. Boy, girl. And they began to build, they began to fix up the house that they bought. They began to fix it up. And then they began to gate it off. Got a dog over there, okay? And they began to beautify that area. Then they put a garden there. That's what white folks do. When they come to your town, they're putting a garden there. All right? And then that white family stayed there for several years. I didn't see any more. And they were white. The white woman would walk the streets at night, even though there was gang-ridden areas over there. She didn't care. She walked the streets at night, and nobody touched her. And then before you knew it, another white family moved in, and then another. And that's when I realized, here it goes. The neighborhood is changing. As they say about us, there goes the neighborhood. I moved out. I got married, and I eventually moved out of the neighborhood. I was gone for a few years. But when I came back to visit, I saw buildings there I never seen before. I saw homes that used to be there. They're not there anymore. Vacant lots, they're not vacant anymore. They're filled with Bickerdike buildings and condos. So when I was coming up, rent was $500-$600 a month. Bickerdike came in there and bought up all that property, and now those are going for almost $2,000 a month for a bedroom apartment. All right, easy. Gentrification had hit town. And then I thought about my white teacher who told me, oh, we're coming back, and we're getting ready, we're going to take back what we left. This kind of wealth, this kind of transfer, it's common among white people. They've been doing this for generations and generations. When my grandfather passed down his wealth to my father, that is where the wealth transfer of information ceased in many black homes. And what do I mean by that? The baby boomers did not transfer the information to the Generation X like their parents did. And this is why many of my friends are poor today. They know nothing about the stock market. They know nothing about real estate. They know nothing about buying gold and silver. They know nothing about the foreign exchange rate. They know nothing about ETFs. Okay, they just don't know. They were told to go to school, get good grades, graduate, and go to work for someone else. Work for the man. They call them Charlie. All right, leave high school, get a loan or a grant, and go to a 4-year institution, and then graduate with a bachelor degree typically, and then now your salary will rise to maybe now $40,000 or $50,000 a year. All right, that's what we were told. So that book Rich Dad Poor Dad had a big effect on us African Americans, especially in the 1990s, because it said something that we didn't understand. We were chasing after the salary, but not chasing after the profit. PROFIT. I learned from my white friends in South Dakota about wealth. I didn't understand that. I thought that dressing like this meant wealth. I thought that all of the black people I saw driving around in their Chrysler 300s and their Cadillacs and dressed like this meant wealth. But all that was show. A lot of that was bragging, or they might have had okay credit, or the credit was not that great, but they received these toxic predatory loans. And so I would walk in some of my friends' homes that were worth $400,000 and $500,000. They had 6 bedrooms and 9 bathrooms, okay, and 3-car garages and things like that. And they had a new car sitting out in the back, SUV truck, okay, and things like that. And I wondered why they were never home. You know why they were never home, Damien? Thank you, sir. Hey, you know, I did this for you. You know why they were never home? Because most of their income was spent on their expenses. I realized they were not as well off as I thought they were. They had to work 2 and 3 jobs in order to maintain the house, the car, and the utilities, and the property taxes, and all the things that they were trying to live up to. It was killing them. Some of their mortgages were $5,000 and $6,000 a month. And then that's when I realized why they were not home. They would come home exhausted and tired and wore out and have to get up, and only 5 hours later they had to get back up and go back to work. They couldn't enjoy the things that they had. And I realized that's not wealth. This is how poor people operate. This is how poor people live. And in an instant, in 2000, and the recession hit in 2000, and Barack Obama just got into office, 2009 and 2010. Those homes went up for foreclosure, and people began to hide their cars, and their bank accounts were being wiped out. That was not generational wealth whatsoever. The people who live beneath their means, who decided not to buy the new iPhone that comes out every year, the ones who decided not to buy that house right now. I don't need a car. My car is 10 years old. It's doing fine. I'll just keep patching it. That person kept putting their monies away. They kept investing their monies, all right? They were putting them in certificates of deposits and Roth IRAs, and they were ETFs and insurance policies and money markets and all kind of things. And all right, they were putting it away, and they wasn't touching that stuff. They wasn't touching their 401ks when something bad happened. They wasn't doing it. And they kept doing it over time, and they were looking like they were poor, all right? And then after so many years, they were putting money in a 529 plan for their children. I met those people. When I first saw them, I thought they were poor. I realized that I was the poor one. I was trying to learn insurance, how to sell insurance. I had to get an insurance license, all right? So I went to a class, and this white woman was teaching us the insurance business, all right? And then she told us, she says, listen, my daughter got married, and she says, when I was pregnant with my daughter, me and my husband decided to put away a 529 plan, and then we took out an insurance policy to cover us, just in case, not just if we die, but if we lose our house or if we lose our job, this insurance policy will cover this, and then this insurance policy will cover this. And I was listening to her. I was like, wow, whoa, y'all was doing all that? Yeah, she said, we were doing all this, and we wasn't really making that much money. We were putting things away, and we decided not to go on crazy vacations and all these things. And she says, my daughter turned 18. She says, not 18. Yeah, 18. She says, when my daughter decided after she graduated from high school where she wanted to go, she says, we pulled out our checkbook and we paid for her college. She says years later, my daughter graduated and she was engaged. And so for our wedding gift, we bought her a house. We was like, what? She said, yeah. She says, we had policies put away for our daughters. My daughter, she said, so our daughters didn't have to worry about the things that we were worried about that we didn't. Now, we taught them too, all right, how to save and how to put away and how to invest. We did too. But we made sure when we turned a certain age that we wasn't going to have our children socking up our investment. So we had investment plans for them, separate from our own investment plans. And when we retire, she said, when I retire, me and my husband are going to do just fine. I live beneath my means. Yes, it's like the stock market. The whites waited until the decline, and then they came and bought up everything that the black man felt was a waste. To his advantage, turned it around and making a profit. Gentrification at their vantage point. That's exactly my case, my point here. That's my point here. Good to see you, Donna. Blessings to you. Nope, those, yes, drive regular cars, but have 2 to 3 properties there. I'm trying to tell y'all, yes, they rebuilt Greenwood like their homes and businesses were burned down, and they lay dead, hung, raped, and yeah, it's sad. Seeds of sorrow. I'm sorry, seeds of wisdom and knowledge, waters away. That's good stuff. I like that. All right. So they understood generational wealth. That white parent. My father, buying all of that real estate, was teaching us, my brothers and my sisters, generational wealth. They were showing us and telling us what we needed to do. There was a missing element there, but that missing element was we were fighting against his wisdom because we wanted to live like our children today. You know, I wanted the nice house, I wanted the nice car, I wanted the nice job that was paying $40,000 and $50,000 a year, and so I went to school to get all of that stuff. And my father was telling me not to chase after that stuff, but chase after your own, meaning build your own, and stop being a consumer for the rest of your life, but be a producer. I didn't understand that concept until I saw an old video of Malcolm X saying the same thing. He's saying he was preaching to the people about black people being consumers and not producers. During that time, black people were producers. I went down to Texas, down there, not Montgomery, where's that, where the Peanut Man and the university down there, what's the university, okay, who George Carver and the other man, okay, came together to build that amazing university. All right, these were producers during that generation there. They were farmers, and they built things, they made things, they invented things, okay? They invested in their own communities and in their own families. Not Georgia, Alabama, down south, Alabama, Tuskegee. Thank you, Donna. The Tuskegee, George Washington Carver and what's his name? I went there and visited there, that campus, and I was almost in tears. The legacy that was on that campus. I went to the dorm where he stayed. That was his room, his apartment, pretty much. And that little bitty apartment, a great man like that lived in this little bitty apartment, almost a recluse. All right, and we saw that in our generation, that generation. What's happening right now? You who are Generation Xers are not passing down the wealth transfer of information that you should be to your millennial children. And you don't just have millennial children, you have Generation Zs that are alive today. You have Generation Zs, and that generation is going to be huge. Absolutely huge. One expert told me to act as if you don't have a check coming in for 4 weeks. Yep, this will help you save. So true. Thank you, Booker T. Washington. And that's right. My father was trying to teach his sons this, and we wasn't listening. We weren't listening because we wanted all of the things right now. And it reminded me of the prodigal son who decided that he was going to take his father's wealth, at least his portion, and cash out. And he went out. A fool and his money will soon part. And you saw what he found himself doing. He was eating the pigsty, and he realized my father got so much. He says my father's servants got better than what I have here. And he went back home. I wasn't going back home. I hit rock bottom. I wasn't doing it. So I suffered. And I wheeled and dealed and got in trouble, all right, all kind of stuff. And I finally come out of it so that I can do shows like this and I can teach my children generational wealth. So I believe that during this pandemic, I believe that the wealth transfer is going to happen with or without you. More millionaires will be made this year than last year. You got to understand it. Like Amber Rogers said earlier, the stock market crashed a few times. There was a correction happening, all right, and the smart dived in there and was buying up stuff. Now the stock market is high right now. It's a little expensive, but another crash is going to come. Maybe another correction is going to come. We had the shortest bear market in American history in the stock market. Stuff was happening, and people were jumping in there. Others were afraid and they didn't want to touch it because they were afraid. African Americans, many times, they don't touch certain things because they are afraid. This is why many of us don't go to the doctor. We don't like the hospitals and clinics because we have been treated as lab rats for so long that it's difficult for us to trust. But if we at one time, we had our own doctors. We sent our own nurses to school, okay? We had our own medical centers. We had them. And unfortunately, many of them got burned down. Or number two, we stopped supporting the businesses. We decided to go where it was bigger and better, the better customer service, and we can afford it. So we started going to the white establishments, and it was killing the mom and pops. You understand? My grandfather and grandmother used to say that a fool and his money is soon part. Yeah, parted. Yeah, and you want the steak on the hamburger, but yeah. Busy working to maintain lifestyle. That's what's killing us. All right. So I've discovered that my children, Walter Jr. and Rebecca, are turning in to me. They're becoming just like me. They're frugal with their money. My daughter is a hustler. She's a hustler, and so is my son. I'm proud of them. And so there are things that I've been teaching them over the past couple years, and things that they need to do and not do the things that I did. I see them going down that road, and I tell them, no, you don't want to go down that road. Yeah, but I want to go into this this pyramid thing and this network marketing thing, and I would tell them, nope, no, come to my office, come to the house, and let's sit down. Let me tell you what you getting, how much money you getting ready to lose. I've tried them all. I've tried all of the 1-900, 1-800 infomercials, and I was spending so much money, wasting so much money, burying so much money, and all those streams of things that then they all failed. They all failed. And I'm not telling you that those services out there and those businesses out there are failures because somebody's making money, but trying to go out there and get people to be a part of down lines and up lines and all these things, that's not for you. It's not for you. There's better ways around this. This generation, good to see Elliot Banks assumes they know more than those who lived even before they existed. Yeah, God help us. God help us for real. Our parents' wealth came through land, Mississippi, and buying homes passed down to their children. Generation X is passing down a boss chick mentality and a ratchet consumer's greed take by any means necessary. And this is why WAP, W-A-P, is so popular and famous, and people are learning the lyrics and what have you. That is part of, it's a borderline between Generation X and Millennial, all right? Okay, because that Cardi B, I don't know what her age is, all right? So she seems to be on the borderline. One moment she acts like a Generation Xers, and then in the next biggest moment she acts like a Millennial. But she has influence over millions of young people. And she and the other young lady and many in her career are pulling your children down. And they're going to wake up one day and they'll be 60, 65 years old. They're going to look back and realize they have nothing. Nothing. Those who looted here in Chicago recently will wake up one day and realize I have nothing. Those of you who are trying to buy the latest gadget, you're going to wake up one day and realize, I have nothing. The average American don't have enough to survive off of 2 months. They have nothing saved away to survive. If something should happen when everything goes to rye, okay, it says the average American don't even have $1,000 saved away that they could use for emergencies. The pandemic showed economists that we don't have it. We just don't. What did you do all of these years making the money that you've been making on your job? And some of you have been working overtime. What have your expenses been going to? Things that you didn't need. Mostly things that you wanted. You wanted that house. You didn't need that house. You wanted that car. You didn't need that car. All those clothes you got in your closet and those hundreds of pairs of shoes, you didn't need all of that stuff. You didn't need the newest gadget that's sitting on your desk. You didn't need it. All right? And if you bought a gadget and you're not using it to further produce income for your home, you didn't need that. Everything that I buy in my house, if it's expensive, you best believe I buy it because it is going to make money for me. I bought this webcam with the intention that it will make money for me. This laptop that I'm on right now, it says it will make money for me, and it has. This iPhone, when it came out, this is they what, iPhone 11 somewhere. This is still an iPhone 7. Okay, 7. Y'all know how long this came out, and I need a new one because it's not acting right. But I bought it because I said this iPhone that I'm paying monthly on is going to make money for me, and it has over and over again. This microphone I bought last year. All right, I says this microphone is going to make money for me. When I buy things, it is to make money for me. You understand? When I bought that car outside, now I needed a car. I didn't have to buy it. I didn't want no expensive car. If you gave me $1 million, I would not go out there and buy a $30,000-$40,000 car. If I didn't have one, I would not. If I had $1 million in my hand, I would buy a used car. If I needed a car, it would be used. You best believe it. And it would not be over 20 grand. Oh no, wouldn't. It would be used. And I would wheel and deal and get them down to maybe 10 grand if possible. Why? Warren Buffett taught America something very important. He talked about investment. Okay? He talked about he has a car that he's had for years. He lives in the same home he's been living in for years, and he's one of the wealthiest men in the world. But buying a new car makes no financial sense. None. Why would you buy something and the minute you pull it out of the lot, it's not worth the same thing you bought it for? Who invests in an asset that loses over and over and over and over again until it's worth nothing, and put that kind of money in it? So you buy a $40,000 car that would depreciate more when you drive it off the lot, and then slowly it depreciate over time. It makes no financial sense. And he's a multi-millionaire. Why? Because he's on a different mentality level. It's not about the money, it's about the mentality of the wealth. Rich people act like poor people. You're like, how is that possible? What made them rich? Well, because many rich people spend like poor people. You can't, what they say about taking a man out of the country. Look at all these NFL ball players who come out of the neighborhoods into the NFL, and they were making millions. They had $1 million contracts, and then when their career were over, they were broke in 1 year. Why? You're taking the country poor man's mentality out of that neighborhood, giving them all this money. You understand? And they got all of this money, but the mentality is poor. So rich people, many of them have poor mentalities. The monies are coming in but it's going right back out. And many people that's why they say the average person who wins a lottery of $1 million or so, they're poor within a few months' time. It's gone because of the mentality. So we who are not on that mentality level thinks that because I got $1 million, I can buy a $50,000 new car and I got all this money left. You have a poor mentality. You understand? A woman testified at church one time because she bought a new Lexus or something like that, and she went to the store. She says, I paid no money down. And I wheeled and dealed, all right? This car's worth I paid $50,000 for this car, and I went in there and I said, I ain't got no money. They wanted me to give them this money down. I said, I ain't, and I was praying to the Lord. I was praying to God to ask me, to tell me, to show me what to say at this table, and right? And I said, I ain't got no money. And before I got through with that person gave me the keys to this $50,000 car, new car with no money down. Praise the Lord. And the whole church went up, and I says, this is a poor woman that's testifying. So this is a poor woman. This is a blessing. She's got a $50,000 car with no money down. I says, yes. And a sinner, a pimp, a drunk could have walked in that store and got the same deal. Now, ask her how much is her payments. Ask her how much her monthly payments are. And number two, ask her, is the car paid for? You see, testifying in church about you bought a $50,000 car, you are now $50,000 in what? Can y'all put in the comments? Can y'all put in the comments? You bought a $50,000 car with no money down. You are now $50,000 in what, y'all? Tell me. And you want me to celebrate you in church as you testifying that you are now 4 and 5 months you are going to be paying on this car? Thank you, God is watching. That's the word. Debt. Ron Kelly, debt. Shannon Ruff, good to see you. Debt. Effie Roth, debt. BW, debt. Let's not talk about just to get the oil change on that sucker would be a car note for me on my car outside. And you want me to celebrate you getting in $50,000 worth of debt. That is not a testimony. I hear people testify about they got this house is a $300,000 house, and the Lord has blessed me with this home. And even if your annual percentage rate is 4.2% or something like that, okay? Oh, well, praise God, I got this. You on a 30-year mortgage. 30 years. You want me to celebrate you going into a 30-year debt. Thank God for you. You got a roof over your head. Well, praise God. But should I celebrate your debt ceiling? I'm not going to do that. No. Come back to me when the 30-year mortgage has been paid off and the car note has been paid off, and then we'll celebrate later. But right now, I can't celebrate you going into debt. That's nothing to celebrate. You understand? That is the mentality of poor people. And that is the mentality of those who've been in churches forever. You've been taught and preached prosperity, and you've been preaching and promised through prophets that houses and lands and cars and all these things are coming to you, and you're in debt. The Oprah Winfrey Show, one year, she was giving out all these cars. She says, you get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car, and they celebrated. They went crazy. What she call those things? My favorite things, okay? But they realized that the car didn't come free, and some of the people could not take those cars home. Can y'all tell me why? Can y'all tell me why? Some of them could not afford to take the car home. Can y'all tell me why? Also, someone should help these sisters. Also, yeah, good teach find. Yeah, I'm going there. I'm going there. I am going there. Can y'all tell me? Thank you, Jalen. They couldn't afford to take the car home because of taxes, insurance, okay? But mostly the taxes. There's a gift tax, y'all. Do y'all not understand that? There's a gift tax. So many of the people left there because they could not afford a free car. Yes. So the mentality of poor people is to want me to celebrate you for getting things that put you in further debt. I'm not doing it. Don't call me. Don't call me. I'm not doing it. Can't register a car if your taxes are not caught up. You can't do it. Taxes, registration, and insurance. My daughter bought a car. My daughter wanted a car. All right? And I told her, I'll help you get a car. I'm your father. I'm your provider. I don't care how old you are. I'm still your provider. I'll do whatever you need me to do. I want a car. I said, okay, go online and go look for a car. Now, I did that for a reason because I wanted her to see something. I didn't want her to buy a new car. Didn't want it. I said, go see it. She went looking. She saw this, and we went to the car lot, a used car lot, and we drove around. We kicked the tires. I said, I wanted her to see. I want her to feel the experience of looking for a car. So she saw the car she wanted. She said, I like this car. And I said, let's go in the office. I said, before we go in the office, baby girl, let me tell you what's getting ready to happen. She said, what? I said, you see the ticket on that? She said, yeah. I said, what that says? She said, that's $10,000. It says, you're not going to pay that. She says, I'm not? No. Number one, never pay the sticker. Okay, what else? I says, when you walk in there, he's going to tell you, he's going to accept whatever you may offer him within reason. You offer him $7,000 for the car. He'll try to go up and down, but don't worry about it, baby girl. He will accept the $7,000. Yeah. So if we can get this car today, I says, no, you're not getting that car today. I says, when you get in there, he's going to try and sell you something else. I says, baby girl, he don't make any money selling this car. He's not going to make any money on that car, right? He makes his money on selling you all of the accessories on that car, all right? And he's going to say things that will make you feel convinced that you need these extra things. And when he started telling you all the things that you need, look at your daddy. Just look at me. Okay? And I says, oh, before we leave this car and go in that office, I says, what's your credit score? She told me. I says, you not buying this car. I says, because he's going to put you in a toxic, predatorial loan. Huh? I said, yes. I said, so when you go in there, tell him don't run your credit. She said, I don't understand. I said, I do. That's why I'm here. I didn't want you to come here by yourself because I don't want them to do a financial rape on you, my daughter. So we went in the office and sat down. Hello, sir. Hello, ma'am. Now, which one of y'all interested in the car? I says, she can speak for herself. And he pulled out all the paperwork. Here's what we need. Here's what we can do. And then we could do this for you. We could do this for you. And we could do all this for you. And she started sweating. We could do this for you. And I was like, I was on my phone. I might have been texting y'all. Say, hey, what y'all doing? What's for dinner? Hey, what's going on in your world today? And finally she just looked at me. I said, all right, thank you. Let's go. We walked out of there. I said, baby, did you learn anything? She says, I sure did. I said, yes, I know you did. I said, don't worry. You'll get a car. We went home and she called her brother. And then her brother worked it out. And he said, you give me a couple $1,000 and you won't have another note. You won't have a note. And I said, baby girl, you live in my house. You don't have to pay rent. You don't have to pay utilities. You don't have to pay for water, okay? You don't have to pay for cable TV. You don't have to pay for property tax. You got a job, you ain't got to pay nothing here. All right? Nothing. So the money that you're making on your job, you pay your little student loan. I know you got little expenses too, little cute little expenses. Okay, put that money away. You want that car? Put that money away. You are not financing no car. You're paying cash for it, and you're gonna buy it used. She called her brother, and the brother worked out a deal, and she sent him the money. He bought the car in Atlanta and drove it here, just this weekend. And her brother takes good care of her. He loves his Rebecca, and he made sure it was clean. He had the tires rotated, and he single-handedly fixed the brakes, changed the brakes, all this stuff. All right, and now she's driving around in the car that's hers. He handed her the title. You understand what I'm saying? It's hers, so she don't have to worry about no $400 and $500 a month car note. And number two, she's pregnant. You understand? She don't need that on top of her. I sure don't need it on top of her too, because and when she suffer, I suffer. You understand? This is generational wealth. You understand? This generational wealth. Passing it down to your children. There are things that your children don't know. You know. So what are you going to do about it? Huh? Don't let your children some of you are afraid of your own children. You're afraid of your own children. You can't talk to your own kids because I don't understand. I was afraid of my parents. My parents were not afraid of me. And my father, and as old as he is, I still respect that man. If he tell me jump, I say, okay, Pops, high. Now, you know, Pops, I'm in my 50s now. 50s. I'm a little too old to be jumping high, but because you my dad, I'm going to jump. Why? Because the Bible says, you know, to obey your parents because you live a good, long life. Generational wealth. Y'all preaching in your churches that a good man puts away an investment for his children's children. That's his grandchildren. All right? The work that I'm doing here is for Junior, and that other baby that's coming. It's not for my immediate kids. They're fine. But it's for my grandchildren. So that money that I'm putting away in my investments will be to make sure that they are okay. A legacy. Some of you have family members who died, and y'all had to call people up because you set up a GoFundMe. That should never ever happen again in your life. Never let that happen in your life, where you're setting up GoFundMes to bury a loved one. It's tragic. I've seen pastors who died, first ladies who died, and they had to do a GoFundMe. It's a shame, and it is one of the most embarrassing things that you could ever put yourself up under. After purchasing our house recently, we were informed to pay half the mortgage 15 days before the next due date. Yep. Y'all, there's ways. There's ways to do things. There's ways to. One of the great things that happened during the pandemic is the people who. My daughter had to still have a student loan. I told my daughter, baby girl, they paused the student loans until what? Next month? Or was it October? They paused it. Yay! I said, no. Keep paying it. Huh? Baby girl, keep paying the student loans. But they paused it. Yes. They paused the interest. Now they paused the payment, period. But they paused the interest. You understand? So if you continue to pay on the loan, guess how much of that payment is going to the principal? Can anybody tell me in the section here? And this is generational wealth, because generational wealth is not about monies, it's about information. It's about the mentality. All right? Can y'all tell me? They paused the student loans until October. So if you keep paying on it all summer, 100% of your monthly payments, thank you. Come on, y'all got it. Peach. Come on, Arnold. 100% goes towards the premium. Y'all understand what I'm saying? All, Kemp, all goes towards the premium. Y'all understand? Which means if you keep doing this every month, then when it is reinstituted, you owe less on that loan. You understand? You owe less on the loan. With that practice, you could do that on your car note. Pick up the phone and call them and say, listen, I paid my car note, but I'm about to pay another $300. You got to call them. You don't send that money, because if you send the money, guess where they're going to put that money? Now you call them and say, I want you to put that $300 to the principal of this car loan. This is how wealthy people take a 4-year car loan and they pay it off in 2 years. They double it up. They double it up. So if your car payment is $300, pay $500-$600 a month. You pay $300 the regular car note, pay $300 extra on the principal, and you've paid it off in half the time. That's how some people pay off their mortgages in half the time. Now, some people are not financially able to do that. Some people are. Instead of getting your hair done every other week, ladies, and spending hundreds of dollars to get your hair all curled and primmed and primed and all these things, you're spending so much money to look good, when wealthy people, they don't care what they look like. They really don't care, because they know later on down the road, when the chips are down, they're going to look good later. Apply it towards the payment. Yes, yes. All the principal, go on it. Come on. Generational wealth is not about money. It's about mentality. There you go. Thank you, Hunt. That's exactly what it is. These are the things I had to learn on my own. On my own. I had to study it. And God put me in the presence of rich people. Old money. When I lived in South Dakota, it was old money that was staring me in my face. They will never ever be broke and poor, even if the stock market crash. They don't care. They got old money, and all of their children will be fine. They are not embarrassed about the GoFundMe mess. They're willing to go for the definitely to let bear the cost. Yes, unscriptural mindset of the spiritual infirm. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm going to have to agree with you. Where was I really? Something. I was like you. I didn't know this stuff. All right. So, this pandemic report I do every week, this is the way I'm going to go every week. People are going to go on live and do their little church shows and what have you. Well, by all means, people should hear the word of God. All right. But don't keep getting captivated just by preaching. And that's it. The Bible is filled with financial information. Jesus made parables that can help you financially. Even when he talked about the parables, not just of the sower, which was a great financial lesson, but the parables of the talents is another great financial lesson, because two of them did something that we all should be thinking about today, and that's investing what we have. Now, these men invested their master's money. Well, the money we have now belongs to our master. This is God's money. And so the Lord wants us to invest it properly. Okay? The stock market is not a new concept. Exchange is not a new concept. This is what they were doing back then. They were exchanging in the market. Most of it was livestock. You understand? Investing. That last person decided not to invest, and he hid the money and buried it. That's what many of you are doing with yours. You're burying it. All right? People are going to be hoarding cash because cash value has dropped in America. And people are going to be hoarding it because they're afraid to spend. Many of the rich today are afraid to spend, so they're hoarding it and they're keeping it. But money left to itself don't appreciate, it depreciates. You understand what I'm saying? It depreciates, and it loses value because of the rate of inflation that happens every year. So hoarding money does you no good. To say I got $50,000 just sitting up over here in my account, it's doing you no good. It's just sitting there, and your $50,000 will be worth less every year, less every year, less every year. You say, well, I got it in the bank account. How much interest is Chase Bank and Citicorp and Bank of America and PNC, how much interest are they giving you on that $50,000? And when you calculate it, you're going to realize this money ain't doing nothing. It's not doing anything. The wealthy take risks. They take calculated risks. They don't just throw caution to the wind. They take calculated risk, and they do what's called diversify. All right, and they start multiple, they construct multiple streams, and this is why you should be a pencil pusher. Pencil pushers are the greatest. Y'all keep quoting in your churches, write the vision and make it plain. Okay, you've been quoting that for generations, and you never explain to the people what that means. Without the vision, the people perish. You've been quoting that in church forever, and you never explained to the people what that means. When we talk about prosperity, you never told them specifically, how do I get it? You only told them to just give in a tithe and an offering, and then wealth and riches are going to come to them, and it didn't come to millions of people for generations on that same gospel message that you've been preaching. All right? That's a problem. And they've been fooled for generations to believe that something spectacular is going to come to my house because I gave in the church house. No, the money that you give to the church does support the ministry, especially if that ministry do outreach and local and foreign missions. That's good. People have salaries there. That's good. It pays for the musicians and it pays for... That's good. All right? And it keeps a roof over the house so that you all can operate among the ecclesia in a church home to keep you from the elements outside. That's good. But to use that as an investment policy when you're putting money in that church, that's not true. It's not. That's not an investment, because every church you go to on a Sunday, if you some before the shutdown, some of y'all were going to 2 and 3 and 4 services on a Sunday. Every church that you went to said the same thing. The Lord is saying, if you give a $50 in this offering, here's what he's going to do for you. That was at 11 o'clock. You went to the 3 o'clock afternoon service because the choir had to sing. Guess what? During the overtime, they said, if you give 25 or 30 in this offering, here's what the Lord is going to do. Then you went to night service. Guess what happened in night service? If you gave $75.75, what's going to happen over 75 days and 75 hours? This is going to happen, okay? And if you don't, well, I'm sorry, this is going to happen to you. All right? Every church, every service, God's saying different things, different amounts, and you're going to be blessed here and blessed over there because you're giving to church's house. This is the mentality of Pentecostalism. And nobody's teaching you proper investments in your home. And the wealth of the wicked is going higher and higher and higher by doing things that you can be doing outside of the church. But poor mentality is something spectacular or miraculous going to happen because I gave to a building. And that is false teaching. And this is why many of you are broke and poor, and the pandemic came and made you poor because you've been living off of the promises of your preacher from your Pentecostal churches. And you have nothing now. And around you, your unsaved neighbors are doing fine because they were investing in the market. They shut off BET. They shut off Basketball Wives and all these things. And they were watching CNBC and Fox Business News and Bloomberg and Yahoo Finance. And they have the Wall Street Journal that comes to the house every day. The Sunday Sun Times and the Tribune, okay, they come to the house and they go into the financial sections, all right? They are online looking at their 401k plans and they're looking into this plan and that plan, and they're doing this at home. They're not saved. And then your response is, the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the just. So you're a lazy Christian. That's what you are. Show me your faith and I'll show you my works. That's what today's lesson was about, James. So people, during this pandemic, it showed you who was false teaching in your churches. Warren Buffett famously said that you know who was swimming naked when the tides go out. Y'all have been swimming naked in your churches for a generation. And it's time for you to wake up. Everybody say they woke. You're not financially awake, because some of you have got caught in ruins because you were living off of the promise of what your church has been teaching. So please, people, a well-balanced life is going to help you through this pandemic. All right? Last but not least, clock keeper, God did not change his prophetic word over your life. This is not the end. This is a pandemic that comes around every few, maybe 100 years. This is not the end. Coronavirus is not going to kill us all and send us all to heaven early. It's not going to happen. 5G is not going to come in here and fry our brains and kill us all. It's not going to happen. There is no international, at least national, secret meetings happening where they want to kill all black people. It's not going to happen. The United States is a service industry. 90% of the GDP that came through this recently happened through the service sector. That's you. Non-essentials. You. If they wiped you out, that will kill the United States economy. And if the economy dies, the nation dies. They're not trying to kill you. They want to keep you alive so that you can keep working the machines at their corporations. There is no mandate to get rid of you. Stop listening to Uncle Pookie. He's an idiot. You understand? His chest hurt when you go outside because the 5G towers out there. He's an idiot. Many of you are just caught up in all of this mess. No, I'm sorry. Is this the end times? Absolutely. Will Jesus crack the sky eventually? Yes. Are there those who are saying it's been over 2,000 years, when is he coming? Well, they're called scoffers, the Bible calls them, and they're like, he may come, he may not come, it's been 2,000 years. Don't worry, he's going to come, and he's going to come like a thief in the night. Meanwhile, you should be tarrying until he comes. Occupy is the word. Occupy. That means don't just sit there and wait. That's what I thought it meant when I was coming up. Just sit there and wait. All right, the Lord is coming. So they start selling all of their goods. The first century church bought and sold things, and they were selling things because they thought Jesus was coming that week or that month or that year. And that's how some of you have been thinking. And that's why every time somebody come up with a dream, I had a dream, the Lord told me, and they go viral. If I said I had a dream, it will go viral right now. Everybody who have dreams, it goes viral because why? Y'all are scared. You're nervous. You don't know what's going to happen. So you're chasing after these prophets. All right? You're chasing after these prophets. I'm going to tell you right now, God ain't telling you his secret. He's not going to tell you who's going to win the election. He's not telling these people that. He didn't tell y'all when the pandemic came. Y'all going to say, well, Sister So-and-so had a vision and she put on YouTube, blah, blah, blah. God did not give specifics on what's going to happen in 2020. He didn't tell y'all this. I'm sorry to tell you, because when you look at all the people who said this is what happened, look at the specifics. Pay close attention to how God dealt with prophets and how he specified things that are going to happen. 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. He kept a lot of this a secret. All right. He gave y'all hints here. He gave you hints there, but he did not tell you the master plan. He didn't do it. He didn't tell it to you. All right. I told y'all last year things were going to happen. I told you the people who are going to be dropping dead, but he didn't show me a pandemic. It wasn't for me to see that. All right. Who's going to be the president come November? God has not revealed it. There are people on YouTube and Facebook telling you Donald Trump will be the president. We don't know. They're saying Biden's going to be the president. The logic lines up. The hypothesis lines up to Biden becoming the president. He, I believe, will win the popular vote. Well, guess who won the popular vote 4 years ago? Y'all remember who won the popular vote 4 years ago? But who won the college vote? You understand? All right. So polls say this and polls say that, but those polls said the great things you want to hear, and Donald Trump became the president of the United States. You understand what I'm saying? So the people who are saying, God told me that Biden's going to be the president, he will win, and the people are going to brag. The people who are saying Donald Trump will be the president, he will win, and the people are going to brag. But they're only bragging on happenstance, on guesstimation. God didn't give it to them. He's keeping that to himself. Why? Because people are going to try to have the power to boast. Paul says, Satan came, he says, I saw myself going to the third heaven, and the enemy came and buffeted me, my side. And his words after that was, I can't boast about these things. All right? God gives bits and pieces here and there, but he can't give his master plan because too many of y'all got big heads. You big heads. So trust me, after this show right here, you're going to hear people come forth and say, the Lord told me that this man's going to win. The Lord told me this man's going to win. All right. He never told me. I will make some predictions, though, based off of numbers. OK, I still believe in statistics. I believe in logistics. I believe in numbers. OK, I believe in data driven information. I still believe that. Yes, I believe God used data driven images when he feels like he's done with that and tried to show you something else. He twists that. He twists it. All right. Y2K came on the scene. Before it came on the scene, everybody thought that we were doomed and airplanes were going to fall from the sky, and y'all was bringing in people in your churches to have these conferences about Y2K and stocking up in your basement all these foods and what have you, all this stuff. All right. And God said, really? Oh, my people, what is wrong with you people? Okay, when you have a whole bunch of people running to the same prophetic word, God says, I'm changing that. He changes it, okay? That's why 2020 was not seen. Y'all didn't see 2020. Stop playing with me. Stop playing. Y'all know y'all didn't see 2020. Y'all saw hints, bits, and pieces. He let Moses look over the land to see it. He said, but you can't walk in. So those prophets last year, many of them saw visions, but he didn't let them see the master plan. He didn't let them see it. You understand? All right. So Biden got an amazing, by the data, Biden will become the president of the United States, and Kamala Harris will become the first African-American Asian vice president of the United States. You understand? Biden is an old man, and if he lasts 4 years, well, the Lord would have to hold him up, because I don't see him lasting too long. All right. And then what would happen is Kamala Harris will become the president of the United States. You understand what I'm saying? That's what the data says as I analyze it. That's the data. That is the prediction that I would boldly stand on the mountain and say, that's what's going to happen within the next 4 to 8 years. You understand? You will have a woman president. That's what the data's saying. What God is saying, though, is, I ain't telling you. That's what he's saying. I ain't telling you. I ain't telling you. Y'all understand? I ain't telling you, because the data lines up with presidents like this man. Out of 9 presidents, 8 of them lost the election because of the finances. Do y'all hear me? You hear what I'm saying? Out of 9 presidents that have gone through a financial economy like ours, out of 9 of them in the whole American history, 8 of them lost the election. They were not able to go into their second term. Second terms is very difficult for presidents with this kind of economy. So he will not be the president unless God says, I'm not done with him. I need him for another couple more years, because I need to do something, not so much in America, but outside of America, foreign affairs. Y'all better hear me. Somebody's going to take this video and edit it and hear me say, Joe Biden will be president, and then they're going to make a meme. They're going to say, false prophet. That's what they're going to do. They won't hear the rest of the story. Trust me. If Biden lose, somebody's going to edit this video. So what I suggest y'all do is save this video right here. Save it. Whatever today's date is, okay? Go within an hour of the show, save it, and put it in your little place on your hard drive, and replay it the week of November 3rd. And notice I said the week of, or maybe 2 weeks or on further, because we don't know who's going to be the president right away. No, the post office is in perils. We don't know what's going to happen. So get ready for another 2000 election. Y'all understand? All right? Okay, everybody was saying they had a 2020 vision. Everybody. Yeah, I'm not listening to none of y'all who say the Lord told me I got a vision. I'm not listening to none of y'all. I ain't listening to none of y'all. All right? Trust me. Y'all gonna send me some YouTube videos in my inbox. I'll watch them. And, you know, I'll put them on the side. I'll put them on the side. And when them videos are released and the people say, see, look, see, he won. And I'm going to say, yeah, but God didn't tell you that. You only got 2 choices. Your odds of winning is 50-50. So people are going to brag and say, the apostle or the prophet so-and-so told us that he's going to win. His odds are 50-50. I got to go, y'all. I got to go. Well, I have yes, you're welcome. We've heard you. We'll speak up for you. Thank you, Evangelist. I got to go. Listen, that's my pandemic report. Thank you, Clock Keeper, for being so gracious. And we do this every Sunday night, as much as we can, at least. All right. Tomorrow is Relationship Monday, and tomorrow we're talking about soul ties. It's a subject that pops up all the time. Here we go. Is there a such thing as soul ties? I'll break it down to you tomorrow around 9 o'clock Central Standard Time. Okay. I love y'all. And, well, I got to say goodnight, Gracie. I love y'all. Hey, if you're on YouTube, take your financial finger or thumb and hit the like button. Hit it right now. It's about 119 of y'all left. Hit it. And smash that button. And the ones on the left side with the thumbs down, they're living in adverse poverty. Just pray for them. Okay? All right. If you're on Facebook, go ahead and hit the share button. Share this with your children. This show right here. Y'all don't share my stuff. I get it. You don't want you don't want to be associated with Sirwalterj Jones. All right. This one's important. And share it with your family. All right. I love y'all. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Pray for my children. They're on the road all night long. Okay. Pray for the safety of my children. Peace.
Well, goodbye.